Evening and welcome to a Tuesday night edition of the Buddy Martin Show. Glad to be with you. We've got a good show planned for you tonight. We know it's the eve of National Signing Day. We'll have a little bit of information on that as it comes in. Special guest tonight include Frank Frangie, voice of the Jaguars, on his call from the Sunday game. Our friend Mike McGinnis checks in to tell you about this spectacular award called the Scott Brantley Trophy. And it's Tuesday night. That means Lauren Meadows has got some trivia for you. And Kyle will be here with a little information about transfers and signees. So stay tuned. The Buddy Martin Show is coming up right now on this air. Tell your friends and neighbors we're now ready to go.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
Richie,
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Buddy Martin Show. It's time to talk about recruiting, transfers, whatever. I don't know a lot. I'll be the first to tell you about whatever we have tonight. We'll give to you. We know many of you are excited about what's going to happen tomorrow. We're having dribs and drabs of reports of people coming in that are going to sign. We'll try to get those to you. Talk about that. Also, we'll talk about a special award, which I've been a part of, very proud to be part of. It's kind of a baby Heisman for high school players, the Scott Brantley Trophy, which will be presented tomorrow. Mike McGinnis will here tell us about that. For outstanding young men from North Central Florida, one will get the Scott Brantley Trophy, which is one of the highest honors you can get in high school football. So we'll tell you about that. Also, it's time for Lawrence Trivia. Tuesday night, he always comes up with something. He's got something tonight. He's got goodies to give away. And Kyle Curtis has been studying the roles of the transfer portals and what have you, and some of the rumors and even beyond rumors, stories of players committing. Now, we're going to have to dig this out together because there's no exact science. Unable to reach tonight some of our real recruitniks. They're busy tonight, and we'll try to get some more folks on tomorrow night to talk about some of these commits. So we'll just bear with us, and let's do this. So let's do this. Let's hear from our sponsor, and that would be tonight, would be Titan MRI, and then we'll hear from Meldon Law, and then we'll go hear from Frank Frangie and the Jaguars. My goodness, what a play. It was one for the ages. So stand by for that and Frank Frangie.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
All right, thanks very much, Jeff Cardoza, and thanks to Titan MRI. And they'll talk more about that later on. By the way, this is crazy. Now, if you want drama, and I have no idea how it's going to turn out, get ready for some stories. You're going to hear some wild and crazy things, and we have no way of checking it. But here's one. I don't even know how to respond to this. According to Twitter, and this is somebody who apparently is a reporter. I don't know his name. I'm sorry. In a show called 937 The Fan, which I assume is in Pittsburgh. Okay. Says Pitt head coach Pat Narduzzi. Now, this is the head coach saying this, right? Says on 937 The Fan, he's heard of two schools who offered North Carolina quarterback Drake May $5 million to transfer. I guess there are no rules anymore. Can you do that? No, but they just did. Apparently, according to Narduzzi, and that's not even his player. We know Drake May is much in demand. And you wonder about, well, how come Florida hadn't gotten Drake May? Would you pay $5 million to get Drake May for a year? I don't think so. I wouldn't. He says he won't say who it is, but he says he knows. He says it's gotten out of control, and it's only going to get worse. Yeah, Dick Tracy, you're right. It has gotten out of control, and it's gotten worse. I don't even know where to begin with that, so I can't get my mind around it. I just can't get my mind around it. So we're just going to wait and see till what happens to the end, and what goes on and whatever. So we'll say good evening to you as well, and a couple other things to talk about. First of all, let's say who is the pole position winner tonight? It's Eric Newton. Hello to you, Eric. Gene McLean. Nice to hear from you, Gene. Eric Newton, of course. Andrew Maddox. I don't think I've met Andrew Maddox. Toby C. Permitter, one of my regulars. Good evening to you, Toby. Matt Beckham. Hello again. Dilly to you as well. Dan Bond, old reliable from out of Texas. Go Gators from Dallas, Texas. Brad Ryan from Lake Mary. Gene McLean, go Gators. David Baldoff from over in DeLand, dilly to you. Jeff Owens, good evening. Hello to you. Thomas Dobbs, what's the intel on McCall? Why has it been so quiet on the portal signing? Well, let me just say this right now. First of all, who knows the intel on McCall? Nobody, except McCall and his agent, or whoever's working on it. We don't have any way of getting that information. Nobody does. I say, why has it been so quiet on the portal signing? Because they're still negotiating. You know why? I mean, folks, if you think this is going to let me announce to you these things. No, this up to the last minute will be negotiations. This is what we got in free agency now. That's all we got. Thomas Dobbs says, yeah. So, sorry, Thomas. I don't mean to be rude to you, but we don't know. Robert Turner, yes. Buddy's back. I am back. Thank you. Haven't been able to see the show a bit. Good to have you back, Robert. Haven't heard from you in a while. Scott Peterson, 2,000 in transfer portal since December the 3rd. What happened to the kids? Did not get picked. No longer graduate. Guess what? They're gone. And they got no school, and they got no job, and they got no football, and they're out of luck. That's the downside to it. Now, you hear these crazy stories about these guys getting $5 million, and like Shane says, you can't believe that most of that crap. Some of those things will be true, I'm sure. But you can't say, I'm going to go get me $1 million. No, it's for the superstars, a handful of superstars, and not for the kids who are going to try to find a new home in the transfer. There have been some, and we'll talk about them. Good evening to Ron Fasciano and the rest of you guys. Scott Peterson, Jerry Vitaliano, good to see you again. And Freddie Weeby, good evening. Dilly to you, Freddie. So we'll pick this conversation up on the other side. But let me tell you what I've heard so far tonight. This is just off of Twitter and bits and pieces and here and there, friends of the, whatever. Breaking, this is from On 3. Louisville defensive lineman transfer Caleb Banks has committed to the Gators. That's what it says here. I don't know. I haven't heard that from the Gators yet. Tomorrow we will. He's fresh off his official visit. There are additional offers from USC, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Auburn, and others, we think. Jaden Robinson from Lake City, Columbia, says he will commit tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and I guess that means they're good because it says hashtag Go Gators. Okay? That's what it says. Orange Park, somebody tweeted us from down there. Tomorrow's really National Signing Day. Our own Roderick Kearney will be signing his letter of intent at the University of Florida at 11 a.m. in the Raider Dome. I think he's an edge rusher. Somebody help me out on that. I don't pretend to know these guys, okay? Jonathan Bruce says Platt to A&M. Yeah, things are going crazy here. All right, so and then 247 Sports on 3 says the edge rusher Isaiah Nixon likely to sign with the UFC Knights. He was originally committed to the Knights until a June visit to the Swamp. Then he's decided he's going to move a parting of ways, and on Corey, 0-3 Corey Winters said he wouldn't consider this a flip, so whatever. So, all right, there's all kind of news. I can't keep up with it, folks. We're going to have to wait and see tomorrow, okay? We're just going to have to wait and see. Is what we're going to have to do. All right, hang with us. I want to get this little bit in here, and we're going to hear from Mike McGinnis in just a minute. Let's go ahead with this is Frank Frangie today. And we had a really good conversation with Frank. He had a big day Sunday with what happened at the bank, as they call it. And there he is.
A 3rd and 3 from their 47. Trips to the right. Elliott now the running back in place of Pollard. Shotgun for Prescott. He drops to throw. Looking, fires middle of the field, and that ball is picked off! It is picked off by Rayshawn Jenkins! He's running it back along the right sideline! That is going to be a touchdown! That is going to be a touchdown! The Jags are going to win it on a Rayshawn Jenkins pick six! Are you kidding me? How good is that?
I've known you a long time, Frank Frangie, and I've never heard you that excited in my life, and I can understand why. I'm turning this off. Welcome to the program. Thank you. That was what a moment, maybe the moment for you as a broadcaster, and certainly one for the Jaguars.
Buddy, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. Great to be here. It's great to be with you. Yeah, that was some win now. We needed that. The Jags needed that. Look, it's been a tough go for these fans here, and you know that. One winning season since 2007. That's a long time. One winning season in 14 years. But they're pretty good now. The quarterback's legit. The coach is legit. And that place was rocking, and it was a fun. I lost my voice a little bit there, but it was a fun one to call.
It was great, and I love that enthusiasm. I mean, you mentioned 2007 and the patience Jaguar fans have had to have. Maybe they need to take some of that to Gainesville and to Florida to give some of the Gator fans, because the long-suffering Jags have had their moment, and now they're in the playoff picture very much, and you don't have to be even 500 anymore to win a division in the NFL, right? Do you?
No, and I'll tell you, these are playoff games. Right now, if the Jags win out, they're in. If the Jags, because that'll mean they beat Tennessee again, buddy. So if they win out, they win the division. So we said this on our air this week. Look, you win every game, you win the Super Bowl. Right now, they need no help from anybody. All they have to do is win every game they play from this point forward. And for this team to be here, we're in the middle of December. It's almost Christmas, and this team still can win out and get to the Super Bowl. Look, that's probably not going to happen, but hey, keep winning and win the division. See where you go from there, right?
I think you had Christmas last week, and the Rayshawn Jenkins play will be one of the great plays of all time in Jags history, and one of the best of the year in NFL. But I want to get back to a key point, which I didn't see really covered that much. I'm sure it was. I looked through what I could find and read, but the moment for Trevor Lawrence, it wasn't there. Obviously, that's a defensive play. But the moment for Trevor Lawrence, I believe, might have been his coronation when he fumbled the ball. Right. I forget the exact clock. Maybe it was a minute 33. I don't know exactly. But basically, most of us thought that was over. And the way he bounced back and then took that team down the field, and not just to get the field goal, we're saying, oh, maybe they could get a field goal. They got the good call finally on the sideline of the timeout, and they won the football game. And that, to me, was the making of a quarterback.
Think about this, buddy. In the last 6 games, look at this stat. In the last 6 games, Trevor Lawrence has thrown 14 touchdowns and 1 pick. 14-1. The Jags are 4-6 in those games. He's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He just got here. There's still only his 31st start. Okay, he's still new to this. And it takes a while. The NFL's pretty good, by the way. It's hard. It's a hard league, and you have to learn what's there and what's not, and you have to adjust to the speed of the league and what plays work and what don't. But I agree with you. They never buckled. He fumbled. They picked him up on the sidelines right afterwards. You could feel it. This team has got some chemistry as well as being a pretty good team. They're young. They've still got some pieces to put together. It's a young roster. They're not perfect. They are a 6-8 team, but they've played really well of late. And you're right, buddy. He's a big reason why. Trevor's played great. He really has.
interesting to watch the other side of this. I don't normally watch that program in the morning on ESPN2, but I watched it today. And the crying and whining and complaining, and the Cowboys are like, "Oh my gosh, the world's coming. We lost to the Jaguar. Oh, our season's over." Oh, blah, blah, blah. It's interesting to see the great jubilation and the dejection of losing. It's like that old thing. You used to have the worldwide sports, the agony and ecstasy. You saw it right there, and so I'm sure that was quite a moment. When you heard yourself on the replay, Frank, what did you think?
Then I lost my mind. I went Sean McDonough and kind of lost my voice, cracked a little bit. You know what's funny, buddy? This year we've had a lot of big plays. We beat the Ravens, a dramatic game. We had a big play or two in that game, and so I think what's happened is everybody loves to replay. So it's not just our broadcast. I think a lot of the broadcasts now are popping up everywhere. Dan Patrick has said our broadcasts have been on Dan Patrick's show every week. It seems like. I think that's the new world with social media. The minute it gets out there quickly. It's been fun, but it's been a fun ride. You and I have known each other a long time. This is my 9th year doing Jags games. It's my 16th year of doing NFL or college play-by-play. I did those college games for 7 years before that, so it goes fast, man. But it's been fun. It's been fun. It's probably the most important assignment of my career because I'm from here. You know that. So, and you lived here. You know Jacksonville. You know what our city's like. So it's been a blast. And anytime you get to hear those calls, it's a cool thing. It really is.
Such a good story because the affirmation needed. And I don't want to get too philosophical in the short time we got left. But as you know, I cover the Gators on a pretty regular basis. Gator Baby do this. Really interesting when watching this with interest. And I've come to a conclusion that maybe Gator fans and all fans need to go back to find the joy of college football, of football, period. All of a sudden, it's plenty of joy for you. But Gator fans, I mean, look, Frank, you've been an inveterate Gator fan since I can remember. We had some good times. We saw some good 8-4 teams, even back in my day, Ray Graves. But going 7-3 and going to a bowl and having your players graduate is not a terrible thing. Are the expectations just so far out of whack for Gator fans?
I don't think it's just Florida, buddy. I think when you're a blue blood college football program, and since Steve Spurrier got there in 1990, Florida has become that. I mean, it's long enough now that you're one of the blue bloods. People have those expectations. It's not just Florida. Ohio State couldn't beat Michigan for all those years in a row, so John Cooper got fired. Then Jim Harbaugh couldn't beat Ohio State, and he almost got fired. Now, the last 2 years, he's had a pretty good team. Georgia lost to Florida 11 times in 12 years when Steve Spurrier was the coach there. When Spurrier, Zook, and Meyer were there together for 21 years, they beat Georgia 18 of those years. I know you know this, buddy. Florida beat Georgia 18 of 21 times between those three coaches. They were 18-3 until Meyer was gone. It's cyclical. Florida will be back. Alabama was down for the longest time. I mean, Alabama was down. Florida State, which was this dominant program in the 90s, they haven't been to a bowl before this year and forever. The bottom line is it's cyclical. It's going to come back. Now, for it to come back, you have to have the right guy. Is Billy Napier the right guy? I hope so. Seems like a good guy. Seems to be respected. Looks like he's going to be a good recruiter. They're probably not going to close as well on recruiting as everybody would like, but it's all cyclical. So I'm not going to beat up the Gator fans because I think LSU fans and Georgia fans and Texas fans and Oklahoma fans, I think they're all the same, buddy. I think you expect, once you've been to the mountaintop, it's hard to settle for anything less. So I think Gator fans are no different than anybody else.
Well, it's a good point, and I think you have to reevaluate every now and then. For me, it's about the game of college football. I understand fans are different. You deal with them all the time. And like I say, if you want to look up the word patience, you'll probably see Jacksonville Jaguar fans in there because they have been through it, and you've been through it with them, and it's painful for many. But sometimes it's cathartic, and then when you do finally get to the top of that mountain, a la 1996, we remember it well. It is so sweet when you do.
Well, that's the thing here. This is a great fan base. They have been so loyal to this team, and the team has not been good. Again, one winning season in 15 years, and very few winning seasons in the 27 they've had a franchise. But the fans are behind them, and this place is electric right now. When they won that game on Sunday, when they beat the Dallas Cowboys 1 week after going to Nashville and beating the Titans, all of a sudden you could feel it. And you're right. You made a great point, buddy. When you haven't had it very often, then you really enjoy it when you finally get it. This team isn't there yet. We may lose tomorrow night or 2 nights from now in New York. But for right now, enjoy it, and I think the Jags fans really have.
know you're a big college fan too. Give me a quick take on what you see for the Final Four. Which team looks like they're playing the best? Can anybody beat Georgia? Just what do you think is going to happen here come soon?
Georgia's got the best team. They got the best roster. That thing's loaded with NFL players, just like it was last year. I don't think Ohio State can beat them. Watching the way Michigan rolled Ohio State and rolled them in Columbus and did it without their best running back, a running team that lost their running back and still went into Columbus and rolled them like that. Michigan might be the team that can hang around with Georgia. And remember this, they played them last year, and Georgia destroyed them, but at least they saw what it felt like to go play Georgia. Remember, Nebraska destroyed Florida, and 1 year later, Florida won the whole thing because they had to get the feel of what it's like to be in that one and to be in that physical game. So Georgia rolled Michigan. And I still think Georgia's going to win the title. I think they've got the best team. But I think it ultimately will be Georgia and Michigan. Michigan's going to beat TCU. I think Georgia's going to beat Ohio State. And I'll tell you, buddy, I think that Michigan-Georgia game might be one for the ages. They're two tough, physical teams built similarly. Georgia's faster, but they're both built by running the football and playing defense and throwing just enough passes to win. So I think Georgia beats Michigan in the final, but I think it's a heck of a game.
Just think if they'd have fired Harbaugh like so many people wanted to do a couple of years ago. It comes around. Frank, it's great to talk to you. Congratulations on having fun again in football. Enjoy your trip to New York, and hello to your family, and I will talk to you again. Have a very Merry Christmas, Frank.
Same to you, buddy, and thanks for having me on, man. Take care.
Frank Franzi. All right, thanks, Frank. A lot of you would like to have all the commits as they come in. I just want you to know, folks, we have no information at this point in time. I read out to what we have. And some of you like to talk recruiting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I just want to say that there's dribs and drabs coming in. There's also a transfer. Let me rehash a couple of things that we knew about already. And Kyle will be along later to read us the names of people that he's gotten information on so far. But these are just all speculative until they commit and the letter is in. So keep that in mind. It's temporary until they actually sign the dotted line. But Caleb Banks, you know about that, Louisville big defensive lineman, is committed to the Gators. We told you that. Jaden Robinson from Lake City, I believe he's an edge rusher, and I hate to talk about players I don't know, but I saw his tweet, and he's committed to announcing tomorrow morning. Let's see, what else we got here? A couple other people. I'll get them to you later on if I don't have them now, but we just get dribs and drabs of stuff as they come in. While we're hearing on Twitter, et cetera. But I want to take just a minute to pause because I want to talk about something that's really important to me and really important to others involved. And my friend Mike McGinnis, captain of the Ocala Quarterback Club, has been largely responsible for this. And we need to remember to hail the qualities of young men in high school who have the right stuff, no matter where they go, no matter what they do. Our local North Florida 5-county areas, we've got something called the Scott Brantley Trophy. It's kind of the baby Heisman for high school players in North Central Florida, but it takes in more. I mean, there's a lot of other things that go to it besides football, character, leadership, grades, etc. And we're going to announce, I think it's our 5th one, tomorrow down in the Villages. And we'll have more information. I don't have the answer. I don't have the winner, but I have the finalists. Let's go now to the hotline. He's nice enough to take off his vacation and join us for a minute and talk about something that's important to him as well. Who's done a tremendous job recently, winner of the of our Founders Award trophy, which goes to the select person who's done most for the quarterback club over the years, and Mike's certainly done that. Mike McGinnis. Mike, good evening to you, my friend.
Hey, buddy, you flatter me. Thank you.
I didn't flatter you.
You got me lined up.
You can go ahead and do that. I just want to say that while you're doing it, I'll tell people about this, and I want to make sure I get this in because it's important to us. I know some of you are saying, I want to know more about recruiting. Well, I'm sorry, right now we don't have that. Kyle will be along later to update us on what we got there. But the Scott Brantley Trophy is awarded to the young man for these qualities: on-field excellence, leadership, athleticism, faith, commitment, goal orientation, character, and citizenship and community. And there's a hardworking group of people on the Brantley Committee, including Wally Wagner, Donald Swearingen, Todd Duffy, Tony Mandola, Freddie Lant, Mike McGinnis, and Todd Swearingen, who do this, 6 counties, do this year-round. look for these young men. And so this year's nominees were Creed Whittemore, quarterback for Buchholz, Dylan Provencher, I hope I got it right, tight end from Oak Hall, Jawarren Corbin, linebacker for South Sumter, and Tay Floyd, defensive end for Forest High School. So we want you, and the past winners include Trent Whittemore, and then Jaron Gilmore from North Marion, Jake Stoller from Trinity, a Gator now, Elijah Hopkins and Vanguard is at Coastal Carolina. So, Mike, thanks for joining us on the program tonight from your vacation. I just want to get a minute with you to talk about the Brantley Trophy and what it means and to our club and to the community. And I talked to one of the coaches last week who was there, and he told me how much it means to him, a lot. So tell us about what this is all about.
We're glad to hear that, buddy. There's a lot of emphasis that goes into it, and you've already extolled the virtues that Scott has laid out for us that the player has to have. And not the top most important thing is his football playing ability. And I think that's good that you pointed that out. The people that we have as finalists, those four that you have mentioned, are as good young men as they are football players, if not even better. And they had the opportunity to come and present themselves with their coaches to our quarterback club a couple of weeks ago. And with that, the club voted for the person that they thought should be awarded the Scott Brantley Trophy. And they get that vote. And then, of course, the committee and I think the media get a vote as well. The results have come out. And I might extol again what a wonderful job our committee chairman does in Todd Duffy. He stays on top of it. He's got a sidekick that gets inside of things named Todd Swearingen, does a great job. They're going to present that trophy tomorrow. I'm out of the state and unfortunately won't be able to attend. I regret that because I think it's really a neat event and it's special, really special. By the way, is the weather good down there? Is it going to be okay tomorrow?
I don't know the weather forecast. It's kind of chilly tonight, but I think it might be all right. Hopefully.
Good. I know it's cold where I am up here.
Yeah, you're Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Yeah, I bet it is.
Yeah. And I might mention, besides Duffy, as the chairman, there's some guys that really go all out to help out quite a bit in regards to selecting the players. We got to give credit to the player first. We got to give credit to the coach for nominating. And then for us to take the time to look at some of the guys. Swearingen does a good job with that, gets us some information about the players, their statistics, maybe some video, and then we narrow that down as a committee to the final 3 or 4 finalists, and then they present themselves. Those 4 should be in attendance tomorrow, at least that's my understanding, and one of them will be selected as our 5th Scott Brantley Trophy award winner. I'd like to think from what the coaches say when they present their players and what the players say that it's very prestigious, mostly because you helped, primarily you were the one that started it, recognizing perhaps the most prolific high school player in our 5 or 6 county area in Scott Brantley. We're fortunate to have him as a member of our quarterback club. He's there in attendance almost every week, and hopefully he'll be there tomorrow. Take some pictures, maybe make the presentation. He has in the past, maybe he will again tomorrow.
For sure. Well, Mike, congratulations on your leadership. Well, I got to get you a quick comment on the Gators and recruiting and all that. I know you don't follow it that close, nor do I, but people are sure hoping that some of these really good kids sign up with the Gators, and for sure they either beef up this squad through the transfer portal, because how they do tomorrow and this next few weeks is going to determine how they do in the next year or so.
Indeed. I'm anxious for them. My sons keep me up with that. They're pretty they're an avid follower of recruiting and keep me in touch with what's going on. But as a rule, I don't stay right on top of it. I do know this. For what it's worth, I'm a Billy Napier fan. I like what he's doing, how he's doing it. I'm disappointed that they had a losing record this season, but I can appreciate why, perhaps. And I don't think that's going to continue. I'd be very, very surprised if it does.
Yeah. All right, Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. Enjoy your time. Merry Christmas to you and your family, and we'll talk to you again soon, my friend.
Buddy, you're the best. Merry Christmas to you and Joan. I'm glad to hear she's doing better.
Thank you.
And like I said, Merry Christmas, and thanks for having me. It's always good talking with you.
Thank you, Mike, for all you do. Mike McGinnis, captain of the Ocala Quarterback Club. Thank you, buddy. All right, folks, thank you for letting me get that in. I want to be sure and recognize those people because they do good things, and I know we have other things. By the way, here's an interesting thing from Brandon Marcello, who I consider one of the best college football writers out there and a guy that was connected. Here's what he says. These are the biggest winners in the transfer portal. Whatever that means, I think we can figure it out. In no particular order, they are Michigan, UCLA, Iowa, TCU, Auburn, Nebraska, and you're going to hate this, Florida State. All right? Now, I don't know what that means for Florida. Just because we're not hearing everything doesn't mean, they're not going to have a good day tomorrow. But I will say this, it is awfully quiet. It is awfully quiet. So whatever that means. All right, so we're going to get to here in just a minute. We're going to hear from Lauren. And we got a trivia question tonight. We'll go ahead and play the promo now. Just when he does this every Tuesday night, goes out and does this. That's kind of his beat. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and he goes out every week to get a question.
This is Lauren Meadows with Gator Bait Media, bringing to you a new special treat that we're going to have for you guys. Every Tuesday, I'm going to ask a trivia question from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Who will be the first to get it? If you are, you'll be in line for great prizes every month. We'll enter you into a drawing, and we'll see who's top in trivia. I'll do my best to stump you guys every single week from right here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. For Gator Bait Media, this is Lauren Meadows. We'll see you inside.
All right, thanks very much, Lauren. There he is, the man, the myth, the coach himself, Lauren Meadows. What's up, Lauren?
How you doing, sir?
I'm trying to make sense out of some of this stuff about recruiting and transfer portals, and people keep saying, how come we don't have more information? I'm sorry. I just don't have it. Do you?
No, and I'm gonna keep what I heard close to the vest because I don't want to upset anybody. But I was told by a fellow, I guess I'll give it out. I was told by a fellow media member tonight that mediocre was the word that was used. Mm-hmm. So to put a damper on what's already kind of been a tough week. Pretty reliable guy told me mediocre. Now, obviously that's a matter of opinion. I think that this Gator team will be shaped more by the transfer portal in the next 2 years than it will be by high school recruiting classes. Mm-hmm. So take that how you want to look at it, and we'll go from there.
Well, here's the thing about it. How can you say mediocre when they're already number 8 in the country? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know I don't know how we're equating all this. And I'm not pretending to think I know anything about it. I don't. But I'm just saying, I heard Tom Luginbill say 2 years ago, quote, I'm really impressed with this class, meaning the 23 Gators. I think he knows a little bit about it, and so what does that all mean? They're going to reel in a bunch of 4 and 5 stars tomorrow? Probably not going to happen. All right? And
one.
Go ahead.
No, I said one thing I will point out, and I pointed this out to somebody today in another situation, is if you look at the average player ranking from, like, for instance, 247, the Florida average player ranking at 11, I think, is where 247 has them right now. And, that fluctuates, is actually higher than Miami's third-ranked team with 247. So Miami has 5 3-stars, but the back end of the class is not nearly the quality of the Gators. So, like I said, there's a lot of ways of skinning the cat and looking at it. So,
I can't refuse, and I not because I just don't know. I mean, wonder, but I can't make any quantifications on anything when I don't know anything, and neither does anybody else. And so, I said this to Bob Redman last week, and Bob will not be on with us this week. You and I will be on tomorrow night with Ben Troop in France talking about it, is that I don't know how to report this story. I've been a reporter all my life. a writer. All right, I kind of I know how to get my arms around stories when they break. I can't figure this one out. How am I going to know anything? I can't believe anybody. Did you hear what Pat Narduzzi said today?
I did. I did. I saw that.
Yeah, it says he says.
It's crazy.
For those who didn't hear it, he said quarterback Drake May of North Carolina. I'm not sure why he would know that, but he does. He says he's been offered by 2 schools $5 million to play. Now, hadn't he got just 1 year left? 1 year, right?
No, I think he has. He might have 2.
He's 3-time. Well, okay, I'm not sure. But anyway, the point is, if I said to you, if Florida could get Drake May for $5 million, would you be in favor of that?
No, sir, absolutely not.
Okay. So this is the way the game is played right now. And why would anybody tip their hand except to say leverage what they got, and that's what they're doing. And listen, I understand if they're giving out money, you ought to get in line. I would too. I don't begrudge that if that's what they're doing. The rules were changed. But I mean, how do we report it, and how you can judge without ever having seen any of these players on the field? Only by star rankings, I guess you can do something. I don't believe anybody's going to say, well, Nick Saban had a failure because he didn't get but 8 5-stars. You know, I mean, how do you rate that? I don't get that. But anyway, so listen, I feel. By the way, there's some hoops tonight, just so people know. Franz wrote about it today, and you follow it closely. In fact, the women are playing tonight too, up in that Jumpman Classic, and Florida's playing against. They should be tipping it off. Well, it's supposed to tip it off at 9:30. I doubt that's happened.
Yeah.
It's always late. They play Oklahoma.
Women play tomorrow.
We'll play tomorrow. Oklahoma 8-3 in Jumpman Classic at 9:30 tonight. Someone, if they get the score, put it up there. But apparently, like Franz says, it's important for Florida to get the win. Florida's ranked 51st in the NCAA net rankings, and Oklahoma 58. So just get that in right there. So, all right. So you want to give us a little trivia here or what? Lay it on us, and should I go ahead and deal? Then I'm going to answer your question for you a different way when the time comes. All right. Here's Lauren's question tonight.
Yeah, and then we'll do the drawing tonight too for all the winners. So we'll
all of us.
Add this one.
Oh, wow! Don't you have a little box of stuff? Don't you got like a little box of stuff or something? You show us there anywhere?
We got all kind of goodies. December winner, and then got all kind of good nostalgia from somebody I know that does a little writing. He's decent,
Not all his stuff either, by the way. So this is stuff that's. This is a treasure trove. I got to say, a good bit of it also came from my late friend Augie Griner, who was a great gator. So all right, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and hear your question. We'll talk about it, and if any news, and then Kyle's going to be on here in a minute to catch us up as best he can. This is a hard story. This is like trying to catch smoke in a bottle, You just don't know. It's like, what did you hear this? Did you hear that? All right, stand by. We're going to get Lauren's trivia question in, and we'll go from there.
Lauren Meadows here with Gator Bait Media and Tuesday Night Trivia live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. In light of the cold weather that we're having here in Gainesville, we want to ask you, what is the coldest bowl game that the Florida Gators have ever played in? Is it A, the 1960 Gator Bowl, the 1966 Sugar Bowl, the 1973 Tangerine Bowl, or the 1983 Gator Bowl? Be the first to answer, and you'll be entered into this month's drawing for a gift from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and other goodies that we've added to the box. With Gator Bait Media, this is Lauren Meadows. Happy holidays.
All right, so I can tell you this much: the coldest I ever was covering, and I covered all but one of the. I didn't cover that Tangerine Bowl, which I think was played in Gainesville, as I recall. That Tangerine Bowl, because of whatever. And the closest I've been was is a game played in 1964 in Baton Rouge that had been postponed for earlier in the year because of the hurricane. Spurrier was quarterback, and I've told the story. It was so cold, that the LSU people had to go down and get jerseys for the Florida Writers because they all had on those lightweight stuff, and this is December. I mean, it was probably about 20, but it felt like it was 10 below. You couldn't hardly type on. You ever remember? You're probably too young to know that what a mimeograph machine is, right? Mimeograph machine. You ever hear of those?
Oh no, I know what those are.
Okay, it was so cold.
That's elementary school.
Yeah, there you go. Well, they used to print the statistics out on those. It was so cold that night they could not print the statistics out in Baton Rouge. All right, I mean it was brutal. It had to be wind chill. I mean, it had to be like. It felt like I've been in a lot of cold weather. It felt like it was about 10 below. It was really cold. But but Spurrier and the Gators won that night. Anyway, all right. So there's the question again. You want to repeat them or do you remember them?
It was the let's see. I said it was the 60. It was the 73 Gator Bowl in any order. 73 Gator Bowl, 73 Tangerine Bowl, 83 Gator Bowl, 66
Sugar Bowl. I was at that game, yeah.
And 63 63 Gator Bowl.
Okay. All right. Well, there's a bunch of guesses there, so we'll let it sit for a second, and we'll get right to Kyle in a second, talk about some of these commits. We do have a few we had a little information I read earlier about a few people that are going to announce tomorrow. There's just no way that they can do anything that's going to be that's going to make Gator fans happy. So there you go. I tweeted this today, and you might be surprised at what I say. And you can agree with me or not. You just got your own opinion. But what Bryce Young did by announcing he was obviously going to play, I mean, again, he's playing for a national championship. But there's and for his teammate as well, does not make people who opted out look good. And I tweeted this. Maybe I was a little harsh. I said, I loved Anthony Richardson and what he did and how he performed. But I'm afraid that when these players who had a lot more to lose, like the number one draft, 2, 3, they play in their games, it's not a good look for Anthony. I respect his ability. I respect his decision and whatever. But a lot of guys are playing, And now again, they're playing. They're not playing for a national championship either. They're playing a bowl game, right? So they're not really in the playoffs. So that to me proves that there are agents who know that playing in a bowl game has value to a player, and for him to play the bowl game, it makes you wonder. Well, why couldn't Anthony Richardson play? Right? I mean, you got to ask that, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that you know me, buddy. I mean, I'm a real one when it comes to playing that ball, man. And I'd go back now at 49 years old if somebody let me, and I'd get a few snaps in. So I really am not a fan of the opting out whatsoever. I have no idea what anybody means by a meaningless game. I'm still trying to compete to this day in anything that I do, particularly athletically, and I don't understand it. And here's my question is, you've been around it enough where you know the training that goes on prior to the combine and those kind of things, right? I mean, they're stretching them and moving them and doing all these things to get them ready to run the best 40, vertical jump, those kind of things. And you could get hurt doing that, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't understand what one more game is gonna and they say, well, it's a meaningless game. Well, wasn't our game at Vanderbilt week 11 in most cases a meaningless game? There wasn't anything at stake. There wasn't anything on the line. So, I mean, if you're gonna just get to the point where you're not gonna play in the last game, well, then don't play in the 7th or 8th game once you can't win the SEC East, or you can't go to a New Year's Six bowl game. I mean, I always thought Bryce Young was a gifted football player, but I gained a lot of respect for him by playing in this game. And I think just some kids are built different, like Dameon Pierce. probably could be offensive rookie of the year in the NFL. He took a risk by playing. I mean, didn't take a risk. He just played football. Every time you go out there, I mean, there's a sticker on the back of your helmet that says you could actually be, die or be paralyzed playing football. This helmet is not going to protect you from every injury, but yet you go out there. So, I mean, I really don't. I mean, when it comes to, opting out and those kind of things, I just don't get it. I mean, when, the era I'm from, we lined up and played every game. And guys, I got buddies that play big time football. So I'm not just talking about myself. And they all played every game they were available to play. So,
when the ball goes on the ground, you got to be there. And I will say this, Big Jer, we'll bring Kyle in here. This is what teammates are. And I love Big Ron Dexter when he said, I'm going to finish for my brothers.
Right.
And he made a statement that's like, I think things are better now than they were before. And that's what you need, those kind of players. I understand all the economics, but, ages can screw up a 3-car funeral. You know what I mean? So it's
no
just,
doubt about it.
And I get the money and all of that, but what people want to know tonight is what players are going to commit to the Florida Gators, what people in the transfer portal. A lot of rumors out there. Kyle Curtis comes in tonight. Welcome back to the show, Kyle. And we're going to get you to coach us up on a couple of things that we, about what we think we know, which we don't know much. How are you, Kyle?
I'm good. How are you guys doing? Happy holiday season. Happy to be here.
Yeah, Lauren, I don't know what you've been sorting out, but I'm going to bed tonight saying, okay, I'll wait till tomorrow and see. And there are going to be some players aren't going to commit till Thursday. I know I talked to somebody in the media told me that. So, Kyle, do you have any kind of news at all about what you hear so far regarding people in the portal, people who are going to announce for the Gators tomorrow, whatever?
Yeah, so obviously in this new age, college football, there's obviously stuff going on, people going everywhere all the time. I think the number one news today would be that Gator quarterback target, Devin Leary, he was one of the few quarterback targets that had rumored of kind of going to Florida. He committed to Kentucky, so he'll be stepping in for Will Levis. He'll be doing that. There's been rumors of Grayson McCall, the Coastal Carolina guy, of him coming, talking to the Florida staff, stuff like that. So Florida's obviously still in contact with a lot of those big-time quarterbacks. And then for early signing day tomorrow, there's some big guys that Florida already has in that 2023 class that are set to sign, including previously now newly classified 5-star quarterback Jaden Rashada, Isaiah Nixon, Andy Jean, the wide receiver, a lot of those guys. And then there's a few people who also haven't even made their commitments yet. And one of those I think that we need to keep an eye out on is 5-star cornerback Desmond Ricks, who a lot of people didn't really think we had a chance on. He reclassified after Cormani McClain committed to Miami, and we kind of got a late start on that, but a lot of people think we have a chance. So a lot of exciting stuff tomorrow and for the next couple of weeks with the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's just a guessing game is all it is. I don't know Jaden Robinson, do you? You know who he is from Lex City? I guess he's a 4-star edge. I don't know. He announced he's going to announce tomorrow, I suppose, with the Gators. A few other. I don't have any real information for people who would love to have it, but hey, I just don't have it. Like I said to Lauren, I don't know how to report this story. No, I won't know.
I will say I think the Robinson kid was originally committed to South Carolina.
Yeah.
And then kind of flipped his commitment and reopened his recruiting. So I think I think he's pretty good player, but I think he's now in play for the Gators for sure. He hadn't decided, but I think at one time he was committed to South Carolina. I do know that.
I just don't know. I know people that have gone online. I know they're reputable people who know stuff who said, I guarantee you this guy's coming to Florida. The next day he's not. That's just how quick it changes. So I don't get my hopes up on that. The old cliche, Lauren, is you got to dance with the ones that brung you. And you're going to get up some players. You're going to coach them up and play. And if that's 8-4 or 7-5, that's what it is. and expectations are high. And like I said earlier, maybe people got to adjust their expectations or go find some other team to cheer for. That's the reality of it. So, unfortunately. So let's get to your question. Maybe you want to try this out on Kyle, see if he knows. This is about weather and bowl game.
Kyle gets it. He's a good one. Go ahead and let him see what he got.
Well, let's see. The question is, what's the coldest bowl game?
Oh man, putting me on the spot.
Well, I mean, you got this is part of education for you too. Will you tell me which one of these are the coldest bowl game that Gators ever played in? All right.
All right, coldest.
All right, go ahead, Frank. Give them the answers.
All right.
I'll give you a choice. So 1963 Gator Bowl, 1966 Sugar Bowl, 1973 Tangerine Bowl, or 1983 Gator Bowl.
Want to take a shot?
63 Gator Bowl.
All right, who all guessed?
Good guess.
Let's see who all guessed here, Lauren. Let's see. Here they are. I'm going to read them out, all right? So Michael Burton says I was there, where I don't know where. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Robert Turner says 83. Whatever that, I don't know. Kenny Green says B.
That would be the Gator Bowl.
Kenny Green says B.
That would be the, I think that was the 66 Sugar Bowl, which was cold.
Wasn't that cold? I was at it. Mark Martin says 73 Tangerine Bowl. Charlie Lewis says 83 Gator Bowl. Eric Newton says 83 Gator Bowl. That's what we got so far. Now, Kyle's not eligible, but pick one. What do you think, Kyle?
I think I said that I'm going to stick with the 63 Gator Bowl. I think that's what I said.
Gene McLean says also 63. All right, what's the answer?
The answer is the 73 Tangerine Bowl versus Miami of Ohio.
That was in Gainesville. Wasn't that in Gainesville?
Barely, I'm not sure the location, but barely,
I think it was.
Barely eclipsed the 83 Gator Bowl, which was in the low 30s. So
was that Ohio? Who was that? Who was it? Who was that?
Ohio.
Yeah, that was in the. Somebody help me out here. I think that was in the at Florida Field, I believe. So is Dan here? Somebody look that up real fast. I remember I wasn't in town. I wasn't living here at the time, so I didn't know. All right, so you got goodies to give away here, Lauren?
Yeah, it was played in the at Florida Field, and our winner for the month is Robert Sniffen, who answered way back a few weeks back, but he of all the winners, he got the name pulled out the hat.
Oh, that's from all the winners. All right.
Yeah.
Robert
so
Sniffen.
Our winner this week was Mark Martin. He guessed 73 Tangerine.
Okay.
His name went in the pot, but Robert Sniffen is the winner.
All right, Robert. Tell Robert how to get in touch with you. And he's got some goodies coming, so there you go. Robert, check in.
Yeah, so Robert,
wherever you are.
On Facebook Messenger with your address, and we'll kind of go back and forth. We will discuss some things from, with Spurs Gridiron Grill. You get a voucher for some items there, and then we've got kind of a goodie bag provided by Gator Bait and the Buddy Martin Show with some nice, really nice pieces, and we'll give one of those to you as well.
You can't buy those things.
No, sir.
All right, so Michael Burton says at the 83 Gator Bowl, it was so cold the Gator trombone players were getting the Iowa flag girls to wrap us in the flag. Iowa? It was Ohio, wasn't it?
No, in 83 it was Iowa.
Oh, that's okay. Girls to wrap us up in the flags before. Okay. All right, so there you go. Well, I wasn't there at that game. So Robert says congratulations to Mark. All right, so guys, let's finish up with a few thoughts about this. It's going to be I wrote this earlier in the week, and I don't want to keep talking about it, but I tried to make sense out of this over the weekend of what it's going to be like for a Gator fan. And if you love going to ball games, which is why we got in this business, my gosh, every time we could get in the car and go to one back in the day, we'd go at our own expense if we had to. 4, 5, and 6 at a time. And I remember that in the 1991 and 2 seasons, I would go, my sister and her friends would go, and they'd drive. And so I was living down in Punta Gorda at the time. And we would pile in and go and drive and stay there 2 nights and come back and go to the game. I would work, they'd go to the game. And why? Because it was fun, right? Fun. Now, I know that Kyle still gets some of that when he goes out. He likes to make road trips. Isn't that what it's supposed to be like? And my column was about learning to love football again and why I got in this business in the first place. And it's taken a lot of the fun out of it. This has been a brutally exhausting season for all Gator, not just Gator fans, a lot of fans. They can't all win the national championship. There are going to be some ups and downs. Every program's had them. I know you think you're entitled to something better. That's how it is. So I just wrote a column saying maybe people got to lower their expectations and learn to be learn the patience from the fisherman and the farmer. You know, they have to trust and believe in things they don't see. And so I think Billy Napier's the right guy. I can't prove it. But trust is something that we talk about. It's believing in something you can't see. Now, I don't know. What do you think? Guys, can you trust Billy Napier right now?
You can go first, Lauren.
You know, it's funny. I'm going to trust, time and I'm going to trust time. And what I mean by that is, I think that based on the way that last season ended and this season kind of unfolded, that I think it's going to be kind of wait and see. You know, let's see what the Florida roster looks like around Valentine's Day as we get to the second signing period, signing day, those kind of things. See what Billy Napier's been able to do in the transfer portal. He used the word intentional. You know, I kind of get mad at him for kind of using, you know, just say you're going to go out and get some good players or whatever. You know, he uses those words intentional in the transfer portal. That seems to kind of irk me. I don't know. It's just hot button, but it's kind of wait and see. I'm not to the point where I could say trust him. Don't trust him because, like somebody said, we're 12-14 in our last, outings. Was that last 26 ball games or what have you? So it's not a good look. But at the same time, you know, allow Billy Napier and his people to address the needs on the roster and see where they are. That's the first part. The second part is, here's the thing about tempering expectations. You know, I heard somebody say this morning on the show, I think it was Shane Matthews' show, that, you know, every year Florida should be able to pencil in wins against Vanderbilt, Missouri, South Carolina, and Kentucky. And I tend to agree. And I think if you knock those 4 down every year, then 8-4 is a realistic, a realistic goal year in and year out for the Florida Gators. And that's where this program should be. And if Billy Napier 8-4s them to death, you know, I think at some point in time, if you 8-4 them, you 8-4 them to death, eventually you'll break through and, you know, get a 10-2 or 11-1, those kind of deals. So I think the expectation for Florida Gator fans, I think is realistic based on the history of the program, at least since 1989, is to be an 8-4 football team. So I know, Buddy, you were here during some of the leaner years, and I get that. But, you know, I think the way that football is aligned right now, I think that, you know, 8-4 is something that Gator fans should easily expect every year, particularly with next year's schedule. I don't see any reason why the Gators shouldn't go 8-4.
All right, so I'm going to say this, Kyle. How can you promise fans you're going to get these players when you can't ever promise how a negotiation is going to come out? Because everything now is a negotiation. I mean, there's nothing like loyalty's not going to stop you. If I'm going to sign and the guy comes in and offers me $100,000 more, where do you think I'm going to go? That's what's happening. So therefore, you can't promise anybody without knowing what's out there, what's going to happen. So it's kind of hard. But go ahead, Kyle. Give us your thoughts.
So here's kind of where I've stood, and kind of where I think a lot of people at school feel is as the students. I think that there's a lot of belief in Billy Napier. I don't know if trust is the right word yet, because in order to trust someone, I feel like they have to prove to you that that they deserve your trust. And after this season, I don't think he's lost our trust, but at the same time, I think that he needs to kind of earn that. And not saying that no one's lost belief in him. I think everyone still has belief in him, that he's able to, bring in the right guys and that kind of stuff. And I think we owe it to him as a fan base, kind of banking off of what you wrote this past week. We owe it to him as a fan base to, give him that time and give him some patience and support him. So while I can see how a lot of people are getting impatient with this new state of college football, it's also a time to where, I'm having fun traveling all these places. I think that you kind of just got to take a look back and enjoy your team. But at the same time, I think Billy Napier, he hasn't given us anything for us not to believe in him.
Yeah, it's well said. And I think trust is a tricky word. And what you're trusting in he can do what he says he's going to do. That he's got a plan to work, and he's got to prove it. And like Shane said this morning, and I agree, he's got to win 8 games next year. There's no way. That doesn't mean you can't go out there and go 7-5 or 6-6, and your program's not going to hang together. So you got to, but you got to believe in something. And so you're saying you're picking a guy to lead you to the future. You say, is he the guy? Can you trust that? I'm gonna say yes, but I could be wrong. I'm gonna say yes. So. All right, fellas, good job tonight. Appreciate it. Listen, Merry Christmas to you both. And Lauren, I'll talk to you Thursday night on Orange and Blue Bloods. And you'll be on your way to Ohio. And Kyle's going to be over there at the beach, lollygagging around like he always does, and having a cold one and whatever. Now he'll be he'll be reporting tomorrow on the what the commits are, and we'll hope we get some good news. And we'll dress them up, strap them on, and go and see what they got. Guys, thank you both. Good job. Appreciate it very much. Lauren Meadows and Kyle Curtis. Two of the best we got. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. So thank you. Merry Christmas as well. All right, so let's do this. Let's say goodnight to Lauren and Kyle, and then we'll just wrap it up with our words about our good friends at RenStar Medical Research, which is, of course, a great partner to have and great in our community. They do many fine things, not the least of which is looking after our health care. We've known them for a while. They support our program a long time. We're very grateful to those folks. They have a proven reputation as a high-quality, patient-centered clinical research facility. They have cutting-edge technology for clinical trials in oncology areas like Alzheimer's, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, fibromyalgia, etc., with many other conditions that affect our community. So they do these clinical trials. Been doing them now since 1998. And the idea is to get research that send to all these biomedical companies to find a better treatment for you and for me with the things that we need. So check them out. Go to renstar.net. They do have abilities to join some of the clinical trials if you're interested. You can apply there. Go to renstar.net. RenStar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. I'll say thanks to our guest tonight. Thanks to Frank Frangie. Thanks to Lauren and to Mike McGinnis. Good luck to the Scott Bradley Trophy winner tomorrow. I think I know what it's going to be. It's exciting. And thanks to Kyle, our fabulous intern and friend. Have a good night, folks. We're back tomorrow night for more of this. We'll have some names for you about who the new Gators are going to be.